Hello, brilliant and embodied souls. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Kim, and I'm so glad that you are here. We are going to check out a new deck, the Emerald Papyrus Tarot. This is a Egyptian symbolism and lore tarot deck that was just recently launched. It was a Kickstarter campaign that I backed with my own money, and the deck has found its way to me. This is not an unboxing. This is going to be more of a review. I've worked with the deck for about a week and a half, putting it through its paces as much as what I can in a week and a half so that I can share what I love about this deck, also share some considerations if you are considering purchasing this deck. I really want this channel to offer more thoughtful, in-depth reviews as opposed to unboxings. Don't get me wrong, I might do some unboxings in the future, you never know, but I want to create more informed content. Not that an unboxing isn't uninformed, but I want to tell people how a deck reads, at least for me, and also considerations around decks. So that's my goal for today. We're going to talk about the production value, all the logistics. We'll talk about the cards. I'll talk about some of the things I do not like about this deck. I'll talk about the things that I really love about the deck. Then we'll check out the guidebook. And then finally, we will look at some pairs. Production. This box is crazy beautiful and it's huge. When I first got it, I couldn't help but delight in how beautiful the production is. The creator of this deck, Yana, went all out. You gotta give the props there. I'm giving mad props. We'll come back to the guidebook, as I said. Beautiful. And then look at the box in the box. I mean, is a box in a box my favorite thing? No, but if you're gonna do a box in a box, like, do this, right? It's really innovative. It's something different. I like that. As a heads up for you deck sniffers out there, there is a very plasticky ink industrial smell to the deck, so I've let it off gas. That helped a lot. I have already pulled out some cards to talk about the deck. So just a heads up. We've got gold gilding, beautiful. Here are the backs. This is regular tarot size. The gilding, you can see, is already starting to do a little bit of chipping. That's to be expected. It's high quality gilding. It's not that sharp, ouchy gilding. And then we've got these amazing black backgrounds with gold foiling. The majors have this gold stamp. All of the cards have their titles in gold embossing, which give the deck an overall luxurious feeling. I, again, have to hand it to the creator. There was a lot of attention and detail put into the production value of this deck. Let's start looking at some of the cards. I have not put them in order. Again, there's unboxings that you can check out. This won't be a full flip through. We'll just check out some of the cards. The deck was created with digital collage and digital painting. I am not aware of any AI generated images being used. There was no indication of that in the campaign. The theme of this deck is, of course, Egyptian symbolism and lore. A couple of things about that. One, this deck captures my love and stimulates my imagination about ancient Egypt. I'm not alone, or I don't, I think a lot of people are captivated by ancient Egypt. The architecture, the hieroglyphics, the magic, the deities, mummies. There's just so many things about ancient Egypt that stimulate our sense of wonder, our sense of awe. This deck taps into that big time. There's a lot of awe I get from this deck. It's a really imaginative deck for me. As an example, the name, the Emerald Papyrus, right? There's an allude and also statement in the guidebook about the Emerald tablets, which are to our knowledge at this point not real, or they've never been found. There seems to be lore and a lot of speculation surrounding the Emerald tablets. This deck leans into that idea. I am not an expert in ancient Egypt, not even close. So I'm not qualified to say whether the explanations of the symbolism and lore in this deck are accurate. That's something to be looked into for sure. Does the deck stimulate my imagination? Oh, 100%. 100%. I'm into the theme. I like the theme. On the note of the theme, if you are looking for a deck about ancient Egyptian deities and spirits, this ain't the deck for you. There are a few depictions of Egyptian deities within the deck. Two great examples are the Thoth card for the Magician, which is perfect, and then the High Priestess. Sorry, my logic brain just had to do that. And then the High Priestess is Hathor. You do get some deities within the majors. You don't get a whole lot of deities, and why were these specific deities chosen? I mean, Thoth for the Magician makes a lot of sense to me, but why Hathor for the High Priestess? Like, I'm not sure about that. This was kind of on me. I thought the deck would have more deity representations, at least in the majors. However, instead, we get these symbols, and the guidebook does provide a decent amount of information about the specific symbol, why it was chosen, and good explanations, solid explanations of card meanings. Again, we'll come back to the guidebook. But this deck is more focused on Egyptian symbolism, objects, than, say, deities. Be aware of that. I think you could easily get a oracle deck with Egyptian deities and pair those two types of decks together to get a really well-rounded Egyptian flair for your readings, ancient Egyptian flair for your readings. But yeah, we've got a lot more emphasis on symbolism here than, say, deities. The images are very, very beautiful, which leads me to one of my critiques. Here we go. Let's look at these two cards as an example. I'll talk about the quartz in just a minute, the specifics of the quartz, but here we have some very body beautiful imagery going on. one of my critiques is that this deck is so superficially beautiful. I don't have a problem with beauty. I love looking at beautiful things. This deck is very beautiful. However, the people depicted in the deck feel fakely beautiful to me. And that probably has to do with the digital painting. It just feels so pretty that it doesn't seem real. I really enjoy seeing wrinkles, freckles, imperfections. Beauty to me comes in all shapes and sizes. Beauty is unique. That type of beauty is not represented in this deck, which is a fault for me personally. I like seeing different kinds of people with different kinds of bodies, with, again, like gray hair and just diversity. The human experience isn't magazines, you know? And this feels a magazine. This feels editorial beauty, and I'm just over that. I'm over it. So that's a pretty big critique for me, actually. But the cards that have the symbolism, that have objects, work a lot better for me. Or veiled figures, that also really works for me. Okay, let's get into a little bit of, again, like the logistics. As I mentioned, the majors have this beautiful foiling going on. We have the Fool and the Sun card here. Some of the symbolism across the deck doesn't quite make sense to me. So we have the scarab beetle, and then we have another scarab beetle going on here. The Sun and the Fool and the Sun card. There are some thematic ties within traditional tarot between those two cards. But I just, there's just something a little off for me in terms of how this deck translates symbolically. Let's talk about these 3 minor cards as an example. The pips are not pips, but sometimes they are. The 3 of discs feels more pip-ish to me. Then we have these scenic cards. Columns, by the way, are wands. Discs are pentacles. Wings are swords. And then vessels are cups. There is some renaming going on in the cards, and especially the court cards. We'll come back to the court cards. Here we have the 3 of columns. It does remind me of the RWS 3 of wands. It reads a lot like that card. However, we have 2 columns, and that bugs me. In the 4 of columns, we don't have any columns, and there are 3 people. That bugs me. I wish there were 4 people. Here in the 3 of discs, we have 5 discs. The math don't add up. And that bugs me. If you are going to have a pip-esque card, the count has to add up. It just does. So there's some of that going on in this deck where the symbolism is off. The minors are off. It's mainly in the minor cards. The majors, again, are using Egyptian symbolism, and I'm down to have some leeway there, but the minors are tripping me up. Let's take a look at the nines as an example. Sorry, I want to put them in my preferred order here. Okay, so we've got the 9 of columns. We've got columns, but we don't have 9 columns. This also doesn't really say 9 of wands to me. There's some 9 of wands messaging, I suppose. The crumbling of the architecture, right? Maybe it's sort of a last stand for this architecture. Okay, not great symbolism in my opinion. Then we have the 9 of vessels. So this is the 9 of cups. Well, okay, the 9 of discs looks more like the 9 of cups to me. So, I want to go like this, right? Yes, there's a little bit of water here, but there's so much water here, and I don't know, to me this just reads like more like the 9 of cups than the actual 9 of cups. The 9 of wings works. I can make that work. But again, the way the person is depicted feels a little fake to me. Just a little too polished, if you will. So this deck has some of that mismatching of symbolism that trips me up. Okay, let's talk about the court cards. Let me make sure I do this correct because I get so confused, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, I have put them in order. Oracle, page, queen, knight. What? Yes. Confusing, I know. Priestess is the queen, and goddess would be the king. We don't have an actual goddess depicted. This is a generic goddess. I don't really like that very much, especially when Egyptian lore and ancient Egyptian culture has so many amazing deities to learn about and explore. It feels strange to me to talk about the goddess of columns and not have an actual deity from ancient Egypt represented. That feels weird to me. Then, priests, like if you're going to have the queen of columns, just, okay, cool. Then have it be the queen, So the court renamings do not work for me. Again, the depiction, all of the queens are people, but they're not actual queens of Egypt, right? There's no depiction of, say, Cleopatra, which feels like something that could have been done. That doesn't have to be done, but again, it feels, some of the choices don't feel as thought through as maybe what they could have been, or they wouldn't be my choices. The way that this deck is organized and created wouldn't be how maybe I would create a Egyptian symbolism and lore deck. But hey, I didn't do it, right? But the creator did, and so this is their vision. I just have some tension with the vision because it can be confusing sometimes. It also often feels like missed opportunity. I'll leave it at that. Let's talk about some of the things I really like about this deck. I am going to grab some of my favorite cards. Here we have 8 of columns. Maybe I'll talk about them one at a time. This is a very successful card. I love the use of birds. I think they're ibis birds for the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands is a card that is often phoned in. Eight of Wands is my birthday card. If in the Golden Dawn Decan system, I like looking at Eight of Wands cards for that reason, and they can indicate to me whether I'm going to like the deck or not. Did the person phone in the Eight of Wands? If they did, that's a strike against them. This is not a phoned in Eight of Wands. I'm into it. The Three of Vessels, Three of Cups. I love this image. It is on point in terms of the message and associations I have with the Three of Wands, or excuse me, Three of Cups. Three of Cups, right? We've got three figures. Yes, the count is correct. We've got three figures, and I can just feel the Three of Cups energy in this card, right? They are meeting to maybe have an interesting interaction, right? Share meaningful conversation, support each other, join forces. It's here for me. It's here. The Chariot. I love this Chariot. The lions with the Chariot, the Sphinx. This really works for me. This really works for me. I love this Seven of Wings, aka Seven of Swords. The symbolism, really delightful. If you don't like snakes, yeah, sorry. There are a lot of snakes in this deck. And this feels like a really interesting read on the Seven of Swords. You know, a snake in the grass, if you will. That kind of idea. The power of the snake, right? The snake can shapeshift, shed its skin, just like we can shed ideas, shed old narratives. Can there also be deception, right? Can snakes hide and be sneaky? They can. This works. This works. The Three of Wings, aka Three of Swords. I like it. I like the depiction of a vessel as opposed to a heart. That works for me. And then finally we have the Eight of Vessels, very traditional, a beautiful image. We have 8 cups, thank you very much, and a figure looking into the night sky with their back turned to the cups. That really works for a traditional RWS interpretation of this particular card. It feels successful to me. It has its own take. It feels deeply rooted in the theme of the deck while conveying a particular read on the Eight of Cups. Really nice. Okay, so let's shuffle the cards, and then we'll look at the guidebook via what comes up. The Sun. Okay, great. That gives us an opportunity to really explore the guidebook together. All right, so we'll come back to this. The guidebook is beautifully produced. We've got some shiny paper. We've got an awesome table of contents. Let's just take a look at that real quick. We've got a history and evolution of tarot, Egypt and tarot, the Emerald tablets. That section is a little murky. It does not make it abundantly clear that the Emerald tablets is potentially made up. It alludes to that, but you know, in its description of that, you know, that section makes me question the author just a little, the creator just a little bit, you know. I really want people to be clear. I feel like that section could have been a little bit more clear. Anyway, we've got the journey of the earthbound soul, kind of hero's journey kind of stuff. We've got the cards, imbuing the cards, you know, working with the deck. We've got the majors, minors, and then one thing that is interesting, the major section, this majors section is specific to the deck, but then we do have another major section that talks about the traditional meetings. So you get a double whammy of information with regards to the majors. Okay, so yeah, you've got lots of beautiful images. The production value is really great. So because the description of the majors is divided up into two sections, we'll kind of look at both. So, oops, here we go. So we've got this section that is specific to the deck. Then, as I said before, you can like flip back here, and then you've got more traditional. Here's the sun. You've got two full pages, just like you've got with the minor cards. Oops, here we go. You've got all of that information here, and then you've got deck specific information here. We've got, you know, what object is depicted, wing, sun, disc. You've got a hermetic teaching. Here you get information about the wing, sun, disc, which is really educational and fun. But again, I would want to double check this information, you know, just for our, you know, just to make sure, right? Like, I don't know tons about Egyptian symbology, so this is just a entry point to explore more. Then we've got in relation to the tarot. These two sections are great. Then we have an illumination, and that's really a message. That's more quick, succinct kinds of messages. You've got the book really divided up visually well. So here's an example of a minor, the Ace of Vessels. You've got these values, you've got a deeper meaning that really explores the card. You've got journal prompts, you've got an evocation, and then you've got upright and reversed meanings. The guidebook is really well done. My one critique is the font is very small. So if you have trouble with your eyesight, this is going to not be very fun for you. And there's room, you know, there's like a lot of, you know, like the space on each page probably could have been designed a little bit better to give room for a larger font. That's just my hot take. But this is no shabby little white book. This is a nice, robust book. Okay, let's look at some pairs, shall we? All right, let me just mix up these cards a little bit, and let's play with some pairs. Oh, right. I didn't say how this deck reads. Sorry. Okay. We'll talk about that. Then we will talk about pairs. Okay. So in my readings, this deck has had a very neutral tone. Some decks are very positive and cheerleader-esque. They want you to feel supported and loved and guided and read in that very positive, affirmative voice. Other decks are hard hitting. They want you to grow the fuck up. Their messages can be harsh and very straightforward, you know, so straightforward that you're like, ooh, you're a touch mean. You're a little meanie. Other decks are neutral. This deck is neutral. The messages are not especially emotional. And in fact, this deck doesn't really give me a lot of emotional hits. It feels very logical. It feels a touch cold, which is interesting because there are a lot of desert images. It just feels a little bit more emotionally removed. And depending on the question, depending on the client, depending on how we are feeling, that could be very welcome. I just need the information as succinctly and neutrally as possible. That is another thing though. This is not a beginner deck because of some of the critiques I mentioned. This is, for me, a more advanced reader kind of deck, you know, somebody who has a lot of knowledge of the cards and could, you know, look at the Nine of Vessels and be like, oh, okay, this is the Nine of Cups. Okay, I know what that means. You're not getting tons of intuitive hits off of this imagery. In fact, my intuition feels pretty stifled by this deck, actually. I don't get this deck doesn't read intuitively. This deck forces me to lean into my knowledge of tarot, my rote knowledge of tarot, as opposed to my felt sense of tarot, or again, my emotive understanding of tarot. So be aware of that. Okay, let's look at the pairs now, shall we? Okay. By the same creator, I have the Desert Rites Tarot, or excuse me, Oracle. Oh my gosh, these two decks go so well together. The Desert Rites has a much more emotive quality, so they go really well together. This brings that, this brings what the tarot deck is kind of missing. It brings more of that intuitive, emotive quality. Oh my gosh, check out these backs. I love those backs. They just go so well together. The color palette, the desert theme. This deck is, you know, not just Egyptian desert or African deserts. The cards feel representative of deserts as a whole. I love desert imagery. I'm captivated by the idea of the desert. There's something about deserts that's just always spoken to me. Therefore, I just adore this Oracle. And they read really, really well together, right? I mean, like, check this out. Like, Oracle of Wings, Rebirth, High Priestess. Oh my gosh, right? We're totally rebirthing and coming into new ideas. It's a fresh start. We're seeking knowledge, following our curiosity, being reborn vis-a-vis that curiosity into a higher level of spirituality, maybe really connecting with our spirituality. There is a rebirth quest happening. Yeah, really, really good stuff. I really enjoy the Desert Rites Oracle. Ugh, so good. Okay, so that pair I've been using a lot this week. Some other options that I have not played with but want to explore with you all is this deck, the Talisman Oracle. I have a feeling that these could go well. Check that out. We've got Karmic Justice, Priestess of Vessels, Queen of Columns, Blessed Day. I mean, they kind of go. The symbolism, I mean, this is also a highly symbolic deck. Some of the symbolism can really translate thematically. Other symbolism, maybe not so much. This feels only okay to me. You know, the black goes well together, the gold-ish yellow blue works, but yeah, I don't know. I'm only kind of feeling that. Next I have the Rose Oracle by Rebecca Campbell, a mass market deck. The Talisman Oracle is also mass market. Mother Rose. I don't know. I was thinking the digital collage could work. But yeah, I'm not really, I don't know. I'm not really feeling this all that much either. I mean, I don't know, maybe. If you made it this far in this video, please let me know what you think of these pairs. I don't know. I'm not really feeling this. Yeah. No. Nope. Okay, finally, this is kind of a long shot, but maybe the Oracle of the Hecatean Path. Yes, Hecate is a Greek deity, but ancient Greece and ancient Egypt had a lot of cross-pollination. Could these decks work? I mean, some like this I'm digging that. Some of these cards work. I mean, that's very pleasing to my eye, and you know, thematically that works. Beginnings, 8 of Vessels, right? We got to walk away from something, head someplace new, really master our emotions so we can walk away from what isn't right for us. You know, such, you know, and really, again, like master our emotions. Some of these cards work really well, and then some not so much. Hecate has not said this deck is, she's again, you know, Hecate has vocalized to me that certain decks are not really great for working with her. She has not indicated that with this particular deck. I don't think putting her oracle with this deck is in any shape or form problematic for our relationship. It's more kind of an aesthetic thing. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I think that the Egyptian, the Emerald Papyrus Tarot is really going to be best worked with the Desert Rites Oracle. Okay, folks, I have got to go. This has been a really long review. If you've made it to the end here, thank you so much for spending time with me. Let me know what you think of this deck. Let me know what you would pair with it. I will see you in the next video. Sending you so much love. Till then, bye for now.